Behind Chief Arredondo, we want to bridge the gap between the community and law enforcement. We believe that it's going to take all of us from a creation model and an accountability model to keep our city safe. So we want people to express themselves, but in a positive manner and in a safe manner. And I'm here today.
I expressed my outrage and my shock at the verdict. Others have done the same. We invite people to let their feelings come out.
Protesters are in the front. The ones in the back are the ones that's doing the agitating. But the ones that's feeling the pain from that is the ones that's actually there peacefully. That's right. So.
I hope you burn in hell, you.
We stand with law enforcement.
The video is an accurate portrayal of what happened out there, isn't it?
It probably is, but it's not my memory. Kind of like a matador and a bull type situation. Get out of the way.
If you wanted to, you could have gotten out of the way completely, couldn't you?
Well, sure, but that's not my job.
Okay, your job is to stand there and hit him in the head with the baton.
Reasonable officer, based on the totality of these circumstances, is going to take all of this information in, all of these policies, all of these training ins, and a reasonable officer at that point would conclude that the amount of force that was being used by officers King and Lane was insufficient, was not enough use of force to overpower Mr. Floyd's resistance.
I'm hopeful also that the people of this city will recognize that this is indeed our system of justice. We teach and have always taught that you use only that force that is reasonable and necessary. These officers have paid an incredible price when you stop and think about
this verdict. These guys are as guilty as homemade sin.
Please, let's stop this violence that's going on in our community. This is our community.
But that kind of expression ought to be verbal.
We protest with you, but we want to do that in a peaceful manner.
That's what I said yesterday, I say again today. We cannot and we will not tolerate any violence.
We just don't want to be destructive, because what it does is it enhances the problem. Breaking into those businesses and things to that magnitude, that's not peaceful protesting. And I also want to say this: it is our job as a community to, when we see that, to be a part of that changing. Say something to the organizations that's out there.
As a means of expressing anger or concern about the verdict. So let's put that apart from what we're dealing with today.
The protection of everyone's First Amendment constitutional rights to peacefully demonstrate and assemble, but also to protect people and property.
Now, there are some in our community, supposedly responsible leaders, who have suggested that if the verdict doesn't come out the way they believe that it ought to come out, that
we're looking for a guilty verdict. This is guilty for murder. Guilty, guilty, guilty. And if we don't, we cannot go away. We've got to get more active. We've got to get more confrontational. We've got to make sure that they know that we mean business.
some will take to the streets, and there may be some violence in this city. My personal opinion is that the people of this city are far too mature to allow that to happen, and that these are just voices in the wilderness trying to stir up some kind of problem.
Honored to be in a partnership with law enforcement in Brooklyn Center.
I think that's a very good way of sort of getting a release that you should have.
Frozen bottles against law enforcement does not represent us.
Okay, this isn't a Rodney King right now anymore, okay? What this is, okay, this is freaking the system against us.
We, as all of these, the boots on the ground, and these people were working and giving up their lives.
On a felony as charged in count 3 of the amended indictment. It's 29th day of April, 1992, signed by the foreman.
Depravity and insanity always stun. Just think that rational beings would at least be semi-rational. Civil people would at least be semi-civil. But to come back completely whitewashing something that the whole world witnessed, telling us that we, in fact, did not see brutalizing. This is a brutalization of truth. That's the tragedy of America.